Hello everybody and welcome along to what is set to be a great race. Why do I say that? Well, because it's the virtual Le Mans series, 12 hours of Le Mans, the season ender and the race that will surely be the decider in the championships for both LMP2 and LMGT. And, well, we're not quite in qualifying yet because it's Le Mans. We got something special for you. We've got a build-up. Yep, we're going to be doing more than just qualifying the race today. We're going to be actually discussing it beforehand. I'm Joshua Anderson. As ever, I'll be here for pretty much all of the broadcast. But someone who'll be here for absolutely all of the broadcast is the John Clannon to my John Hendoff, Neil Heatley.
Indeed, here we are, the VLMS at Le Mans, a 12-hour race for you today, double points. It is judgment day for these teams. The top 5 in LMP2 championship can still win it, and the top 6 in the GTs can still win their championship. It should be a cracker of a race today.
It should be fantastic. We'll go over the detailed championship ramifications slightly later on. But yes, we have about 25 minutes until qualifying, and we can use that, Neil, really just to look at the spectacle that is Le Mans, because it only comes around once a year in VLMS, of course. This is the first year of the virtual Le Mans series. The first year we've done a 12 hours of Le Mans to end. And of course, there's a bit of a treat for the champions coming out of this race.
Indeed, the champion of each class, the champion of the P2s and the champion of the GT class, both get an automatic invitation to Room 1 of the VEC. So lots to play for these teams. For the 24 hours, I should say, in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and that's going to be very special for them. We're going to see exactly where the virtual Le Mans series graduates go. Of course, for the automatic invite. And, well, coming into this round, there are 2 teams that are looking to get those. In the LMP2 class, we have Monaco ECR who are on pole to get that. And in LMGT, it's Romano Motorsport. We'll go through the standings slightly later as well. But for those teams, this is going to be an important race, Neil.
Indeed, it's all about, it'll just all be about aiming for the position that you need to win the championship. In the case of Monaco, if they finish 4th or above, they win the championship no matter what. In the case of Ramada Motorsports, the leaders in the GT championship, they finish 8th or above, they win the championship no matter what. So they don't necessarily need to win, so they possibly won't be pushing all out today. They might just be managing that place and managing the pace.
It's a testament, really, to how dominant this season has been, that they only need that position to get the championship and go into Room 1. It is a show of just how good they've been this season. I mean, looking at the results in depth, I mean, they won at Montreal, then they got 18 points at Road Atlanta, then they got, in the split Imola, 23.25 points. And then they've not had such good races in Estoril and Red Bull Ring, only 14 and 16 points respectively. But that's still at least 30 points more than their next rivals. So it just goes to show how difficult the field, how competitive the field is in GT, and how dominant they've been in relation to that.
Indeed, actually having a look between the 2 championships, because the 2 championships are scored separately here in the VLMS. Monaco actually has 115 points, and Ramada Motorsports has 116 and a quarter. So not that much difference between the 2 of them actually, but it's just been that Ramada Motorsport has been so consistent, has been able to pick up points where everyone else has failed.
Yeah, they've just been able to pick those points up and keep going and just really, really keep on it. And that's what I feel really has helped them to this championship so far, and what will probably lead them to the championship if they get a good result again today. As you say, they don't need much. They just need to get to the end of this 12-hour of Le Mans and get down those points scored. Otherwise, you know, there is circumstances where if they don't finish, other teams can win. But even with the points gap they have, it's looking pretty likely that Ramada, at least in GT, will take it.
Indeed, it is, and with the pace that they've shown all season, they've shown absolutely fantastic pace. As you said beforehand, the lowest point score that they've had so far this season is 14. And that's still 5th place. They've been in the top 5 every single race, and so that just shows fantastic pace from that Ramada Motorsports car with Pedro Ramada at the helm.
Yeah, it really just saw how good their pace and how consistent they have been this season. And, well, going into this race, they'll be thinking, well, we can wrap the championship up with a nice, simple result here. But there are a lot of other teams as well who'll be wanting to go at the championship, and a lot of teams that are still in contention for the championship, Neil.
Indeed, if we have a look at the GT Championship first, we have 6 cars still in contention. Second place at the moment is the 181 Black Hawk racing car. But for them to win the championship, they need to have Ramada Motorsport needs to have a disaster. Blackhawk needs to win, and Ramada needs to finish 9th or lower for them to even have a chance. So a massive job there needed from the Blackhawk car. In second place is the Gaming Events GT car, the 177. They need Ramada to finish 12th or lower, and they win. And for the 175 Caspian Motorsport car, they're currently in 4th. They need to win. Ramada needs to finish 13th or lower. And the rank outsiders is No Limit in the 188 car and Scuderia Denopo in the 171. They need to win, Ramada needs to DNF, and they need all the positions to, all the places to go in their favour.
Yeah, I think the scenario for them is they would have to win, and then they'd have Ramada DNF, and then Black Hawk Racing have to be 4th or lower. So a lot of things would have to go their way for that, but they are still technically, mathematically in this championship, and Le Mans is, it giveth and it taketh away. You know, anything could happen at this fantastic, fantastic circuit, and even in the LMP2 championships, we've got some interesting battles going on, especially for the championship.
Indeed, in the LMP2s, I have that one Monaco ECR car in the lead with 115 points. If they finish 4th or above, they win the championship no matter what. So slightly less room for error there for the Monaco ECR car, the 121. In second place is Simtech in the 150 car. They need to win, and Monaco needs to finish 5th or lower. In third place is Virus in the 129. They need to win, and Monaco needs to finish 9th or lower. That's the same circumstances for the 107 Team RGVL car. And the one on the outside, 5th position in the championship, Fanatec Drake. They need to win, and Monaco needs to come at 12th or lower, and they still need to gain 24 points on Simtech even. So it's going to be an absolutely Herculean task for them. But it's still possible. Le Mans can throw up everything.
It can be. It can still be done, and that's the crucial thing. It can still be done. That's what they'll be thinking. They'll be hoping that it may just go their way, even though the circumstances might not, go for them. They're going to try anyway, because everyone just wants to get to the end of Le Mans. It's one of those races where just finishing is an achievement.
Indeed, and it's a bit like how the 24 Hours of Le Mans is in the WEC in real life. It's a bit of the crowning achievement. It's almost like a secondary championship to win the 12 Hours of Le Mans here in the VLMS. It's the longest race, the most prestigious race, and there's double points in it as well. So it's almost like a little secondary championship if you can win the race here today.
Yep. And, if you win at Le Mans, as you say, it's rightfully like a second championship. So you don't know who's going to win, but just getting to the end is an achievement. So, hello to everybody watching, of course, all 32 of you at the moment, although I'm sure there'll be more coming along later. Who's your prediction for the win today? I know it's difficult to call an endurance race before it happens, but are there any drivers, teams that you're thinking will do well at Le Mans? Keep your comments rolling in, keep engaged on the social media. We'll be keeping an eye on that and the YouTube chat throughout the race, and we'll be bringing people's comments in where we see them to be useful.
Indeed, but Le Mans is an absolutely historic track, isn't it, Josh? It's 13.6 kilometers long, 8.5 miles, and it's absolutely covered in history in the massive street section, if you like, all the way from Tetra Rouge down to the Porsche curves. Makes this track extremely bumpy and certainly a unique challenge.
Yeah, it is. It's so full of history here, and well, of course, the roads around Le Mans used for these races, and then, as you rightly say, all the way down to the Porsche curves, you've got road sections from Tetra Rouge, the chicanes, and Les Honadier, Michelin, Mulsanne, corners like that. Some really serious history going down here at Le Mans, and the Circuit de la Sarthe, really just one of the greatest racetracks in the world, in my opinion. I love it. Every single time we come here, it always shows us a great race.
It is always a great race, and it's the great equalizer as well. Anything can go down, and of course it's 12 hours as well, so towards the end of the race you may get fatigue setting in by drivers doing multiple shifts and trying to have rests halfway through the race, or at least partway through the race.
Yep, and that's gonna be, Le Mans, you've got to tackle it differently to any other race. You can't just tackle it like any other race. You've got to treat it differently. You've got to treat it with respect because there are so many places on this circuit where things can go wrong. It's such a long lap. I mean, looking at the practice times now, the prototype 2s are doing 3-minute 36 laps, and the GTs are struggling to break 4 minutes.
Indeed, and of course, there's a lot of high-risk areas. One of the most high-risk areas is actually the braking zone for Indianapolis, about 2/3 of the way round the track. It's a curved braking zone, so it's very difficult to actually get it right without looking up those fronts, looking up those rears. It's very difficult to keep those tyres quite round, so that's got to be a place to watch today. Also, the Porsche curves, very high speed changes of direction. They could be very treacherous as well, as we've seen in practice over the past week.
Yep, they can be treacherous, the Porsche curves, very difficult to get right. And of course, Indianapolis itself, as you say, difficult braking zone. It's a curved braking zone, so easy to get the back unstable through there. You gotta watch yourself. And Indianapolis corner itself is very, very tricky. I mean, I'm watching Thomas Hinz come through it now, and he's braking. You see, hits the curved braking zone, then into Indianapolis itself. It's got a slight banking to it, actually. Not as much as it used to be in the good old days, but a slight banking in Indianapolis. It's a difficult corner.
It's banked towards the inside, rather like the carousel at the Nürburgring, rather like the high banked ovals we see in America. It's slightly banked towards the inside, so that allows you to carry a little bit more speed through there than you would usually, but you've got to be careful because it flattens out on the exit, and that can just force you wide and drift out.
Yep, so easy to get wrong if you don't treat it with respect. And of course, you've got the two chicanes. You got on the back straight, the massive long back straight with the two chicanes. They can be gotten easily wrong too, because you're braking from such high speed, then accelerating again and braking, and on slightly more worn tires, if you get that wrong, you could go into one of the barriers.
Indeed, the first coming up into the first chicane on the Honodier on the back straight, that's the maximum speed these cars reached on the track. The GT cars heading up to 310 kilometers an hour. The LMP2s anywhere up to about 325 kilometers an hour. So an absolutely terrific speed going through there. And that massive braking zone, you've got to be careful because when you're going at those speeds, that braking zone comes at you extremely quickly.
Yep, fastest track in terms of top speed on the circuit is Le Mans. Obviously, as you say, 325 and 310 kilometers an hour speed differential. There's not really, when you think about it, between the GTs and the prototypes, there's not that much of a difference because, 15 kilometers an hour is only about 7 or 8 miles an hour.
Indeed, there isn't that much difference, but where the P2s managed to gain all that time is in the curves, especially through that first sector up towards Tetra Rouge and coming through the Porsche curves and towards the end of the lap. That's where those P2 cars make up all those time.
Yeah, that's where they're going to get the time done, really. They're just going to get it in the curves, get it in the turns, get it in the corners. I've said the same thing 3 times there, but it's for emphasis, really, because that's where the prototypes have the advantage in every single non-straight bit of the track. They are going to gain time because more downforce, less weight, that's where you gain time when you're in a lighter prototype than a heavier GT.
Indeed, it also helps that the prototypes have far much more downforce than the GT cars. Just looking through the Porsche curves when I was doing some testing, just see what the car felt like earlier this week. Came up on a GT car through the final right-hander of the Porsche curves. And, the P2 car was easily about 25-30 miles an hour faster through that part alone. So another part of another challenge of the race today is if you catch a GT car through, say, the Porsche curves, through the Dunlop chicane, through the Tetra Rouge S, to the braking zone of Indianapolis. You've got to just be patient. You've got to remember it's an incredibly long race. Losing a second or so behind a GT car isn't worth it, to go for the chance to dive it down the inside.
Yeah, so, you have to take care in some places because you're going to be so much faster in a prototype. I mean, they take a different driving style, prototypes and GTs as well, because a lot of people I know I've been talking to, and they say you really got to treat a prototype like an open wheel car because there's just so much downforce on it. And I find that to be true. You have to drive them differently to GTs.
Indeed, there is so much different. The two cars require very smooth inputs, as you would see in an open wheel. It require one turn in, just try and keep the car as smooth as possible. With the GT cars, you can really wrestle it, and force it around the corners, and it can take a little bit more bumping, if you like. It can take a little bit more contact than the P2 cars.
Yeah, they can just take a little bit more bump and bending, I guess, you know, if you want to call it that. They can take a bit more damage. You can be a bit, GTs can be a bit rougher in their own races, but of course you don't want that in multi-class. P2s, of course, more fragile, you know. Really just, you got to be more careful with them because, you know, they're easier to bend out of shape, so to speak.
Indeed, as I'm actually just having a look at Campbell Wallace in the 199 car at the moment, 26th overall, just having a little bit of a slide through Mulsanne Corner there. But that's something you can get in the GT cars. It's far easier to correct slides in the GT cars, mainly because you're going slower, but also they're heavier. So you can actually get a little bit more of a slide and wrestle it a little bit more, as opposed to the P2 cars, where they just grip and would tend to send you straight into the wall.
Yep, you can. And I tell you what, the advantage of having a pre-show is we can have interviews in the pre-show. And our first interviewee of the broadcast is none other than Blackhawk Racing's own Alex Broutnigar. And welcome to the broadcast booth, Alex. Now,
good morning, guys.
Hi, Le Mans. You're excited, aren't you?
Well, Le Mans is special. It's only one time a year, and therefore I'm pretty excited.
I can imagine it would be, yeah. I mean, it's a special kind of track, really, Le Mans. You don't really get much like it. I mean, as a driver, what are your thoughts at the moment going into this? Because it's not usually we get to talk to drivers before the race. Only we ever used to get them mid-race or after the race. What's your thoughts going into this race?
It's hard to predict the race. It's hard to predict the lap times of the competitors. It's hard to predict the feeling of the car, maybe in the second stint or maybe in the third stint. Are you able to double stint or triple stint? A lot of decisions which you have to make in the race, and maybe adjust the strategy and everything else.
Yeah, there is obviously, you know, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in a race, especially one of that is 12 hours of length. You know, it's a daunting task ahead for your team. I mean, for any team, some teams can think they're prepared for a 12-hour, but then everything can go wrong. So, you know, are you keeping a very open mind as to, like, how this is going to go? Like, you're not aiming for any obviously, you'll be aiming for specific positions in terms of the championship. But, obviously, you know, in terms of actual, you know, you've just said you can't predict it. So, are you just going to see how it goes, really?
Yeah, to be honest, if the Ramada boys does the usual job without any big mistakes or issues, we can't battle them for the championship. So for us, it's just to have a good result, and especially to finish the race. And in the end, we will see where we get.
Yeah, that's the sort of attitude I think you really need going into a race. Any questions for Alex, for you, Neil?
Indeed, you need Ramada to be 9th or lower at the end of this race, and you to win. It's a big ask, but how do you think your pace is today?
Pace is okay, but the problem is that the pace of the Ramada boys is fast as well, like every time. And you said that they have to finish 9th or 10th, I think. And yeah, in the normal case, we have to win, which would be really, really hard, and they have to have a bad result, and that's normally not gonna happen. But well, surprises in Le Mans every time possible.
Yep, surprises at every turn at Le Mans, really, and you know, you never know what's going to happen. I must say, thank you very much for joining us, Alex, and for joining us before the race, and the best of luck to you and the Blackhawk team today.
Thanks, and have a nice stream, a nice commentary. Bye-bye.
I'm sure we will do. Thank you, Alex. Well, it's always so nice to talk to people before the race, isn't it, Neil? You know, actually get people's drivers' viewpoints.
Indeed, because usually we just start a couple of minutes before qualifying, so having a little bit more of a pre-show gets us opportunity to ask drivers these sort of questions about what they think about the race coming up.
Yeah, we do. We've got some support for certain teams in the comments. We've got Mr. Random287 saying, go Reelish Racing. Yeah, well, I'm sure Neil Heatley will be cheering them on as well. Because obviously, you know, it's one of Neil's favourite teams just to watch in this series. I think supported them quite a lot throughout this championship so far. Campbell Wallace, I think, going to be doing qualifying for the team in the 199 Ferrari. They're a team who have really started to show form towards the end of this season.
Indeed, a podium last time out at the Red Bull Ring helped massively by a lot of penalties from Estoril. However, a podium is a podium. I think that's certainly a highlight for the team, and I know certainly we had a good time in the team speak afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sure they will have enjoyed themselves after that. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the comments, wanting certain teams to do well. And, I'm quite a big fan of the Realish team as well. You know what I mean? It's just the spirit, really, of them, keep going regardless. You got to admire that.
Of course, it is my home club. And before we, one of the old tagline for the club is, we race from the green light to the blue flags because we're not very good. I think that just really encaptures the spirit of the Realish Racing team.
Yeah, I'm obviously not quite getting as many blue flags these days, but still, trundling around, doing the best and just giving it a go, really. And it's what we admire, they may not be the quickest, but they always give it a go and they can get good results as a result of that sometimes. And, well, I mean, you've got to admire the fortitude, you really do. But looking at all of the teams in the GT category, I mean, for me, my favourite to watch this season has probably, apart from the Realish Racing team, looking at them, it's probably, favourite to watch has probably been Blackhawk Racing. Because, they've always been so consistent. They may not have always been up there with the likes of the Armada, but they've always seemed to find themselves in either good battles or good positions. So, Blackhawk have been a good team to watch this season.
Indeed, it's just been really interesting. They've sort of like taken the Wanako approach. Wanako is in the position they are now because of consistency and just picking up the pieces. And that's similar to what Blackhawk has done this season.
Yeah, they've just always been there, and they've, shown their skill with their second place so far in the championship, and they can still very much, do, this championship. They can get it, and, yeah, Blackhawk in that GT car, of course, as we say, we had Alex Browning on with us. I don't think Alex is going to be starting the race for Blackhawk's GT. That'll be Mike Horn. And actually, they've got a new livery for Le Mans. They've actually got a special red Blackhawk car there. I'd love to see that in the broadcast because it is very striking.
Indeed, it's very different to what it is normally, and of course it can easily, because it is so dark, it can easily just sort of like blend into the tarmac. So you've got to have a look, but it's a very, very nice livery. The dark red and the black livery is very well done.
And you got the chrome details as well, the chrome hawk and the chrome little back stripe as well. In fact, it's not just Blackhawk that have got a special livery, I believe. I think there's a couple of teams that are running Le Mans specials. I'm looking up and down the field at the moment. Blackhawk have another one on their prototype too, being driven by Patrick Barden. I think a couple of teams definitely have Le Mans specials then. But, just Blackhawk is one of them.
Indeed, and the Wanako cars, talking about liveries as well, Wanako car's been very striking all season. It's very easy to spot that one out. The orange and black, I think, looks very nice on that Oracle 05 Nissan.
Yeah, of course, all the P2s Oricas in this series. And, well, I tell you, there's another team who've got one is Speedy Might. Their 113 car it's actually completely changed from the yellow and black to the blue and orange with the Union Jack on the back of it, and the 113. It's got a very retro vibe to it, hasn't it? It's very retro.
Yeah, it is. If I can just find where it is in the field myself. It's 18th at the moment with Ollie McGowan at the wheel as well. It's very golf racing-esque. It's a very golf livery. And I love that number on the front as well. It just just looks extraordinary the way it's a very retro looking number on the front, but indeed very reminiscent of the golf car.
Yeah, very reminiscent of those colours, and well, hopefully they'll fly them to victory on victory today. I'm sure they'll be hoping to do that. But of course, Le Mans really is a place where you can afford this little bit of a refresh in your colour scheme. Give it a go. Just try something new. Celebrate a bit.
Indeed, try something a little bit new. And of course, for these lower place teams in the championship, just having a look down, like, for example, the 199 Realish Racing car, the 156 Texas Quattro Corsa car, these GT cars, this is their opportunity to try an alternate strategy to try and win Le Mans, because they're not in the hunt for the championship. They're certainly still in the hunt for gaining places in the GT championship. So they might be going for a little bit of an alternate strategy today to try and get that win.
They might do. They might full well do. They might try something different. Might try, as you say, an alternate strategy to try and out-strategy people to the Le Mans win. And with the tyre compounds being soft, hard, and medium, you know, you've got the choices there. They can alternate through the race. They can try to stick to one compound. You've got a lot of choice. And, of course, fuel tanks in these P2s are not massive. So we'll be probably seeing a lot of pit stops this race.
Indeed, the fuel tank for these P2 cars could do between 10 and 11 laps. It's very close to that 11th lap. It will require a little bit of fuel saving, or perhaps a little bit of co-data. But under a green flag run, it's a 10.8 laps that fuel tank can do. So a little bit of fuel saving needed. And for the GT cars, those can do about 14 or 15 laps in a full run. Again, about 14.8 laps those tanks can do. So a little bit of fuel saving and a little bit of co-data needed to get to that magic 15th lap.
Yep, and you know, they're gonna need some magic, I guess, you know, if things go wrong. But still, 30 seconds until qualifying now for the big one, the 24, sort of not 24, the half of 24, the 12 hours of Le Mans. I'm getting confused, but it is the half 24, isn't it? It's half of 24. It's 12.
It is indeed, yes.
It is half of a 24. It's the sort of the. This is it. This is the big one for these VLMS drivers. You know, this is going to decide it. The championship is in the balance. So here we go.
Indeed, and for some of these cars, like the Virus car, like SimTech, like Wanaco, this is a bit of a warm-up event for the 24 hours in 2 weeks' time because they've got cars in both series. This is a little bit of a test event, possibly for some of them to try some of these strategies to see how it works.
Yep. Oh, really is a chance for strategy here. So, qualifying will be getting underway very soon. We'll have the GTs going out before the prototypes, as ever. And, of course, with this being such a long lap, they won't have as many laps to do. You know, they're only going to get the chance to do, in GT's cases, I imagine we'll see a different approach to qualifying here. Because if they do the usual go in, do a lap, come out again, you know, if they do the whole thing, it's going to take 8 minutes for 2 laps. They're only going to get about 3 flying laps in. I suspect we'll see teams doing 2 or 3 flying laps in a row.
We've actually got a slightly different qualifying system for here at Le Mans because it's such a large track. I do believe it's just a 1 hour open session for everybody.
Oh, right, okay, well,
because it is such a long track.
Oh yeah, my memory's failed us there. Sorry about that. Yes.
But of course, this open qualifying session is going to strike up a problem for these P2 cars, trying to find a gap in the traffic between these slower GT cars, because there is about 25 seconds a lap difference between the two. So these P2 cars are going to find it very difficult to find a gap in the traffic. So it might be a case of whoever finds the gap might get pole, certainly for the P2 class.
That's right. So everybody coming out at once here. We have a whole hour of qualifying to do here, and this is going to be interesting, Neil, because I've never done a 1 hour qualifying broadcast before. There's going to be so much we can look at throughout this session and just keep an eye very roughly on who goes where. And you know, it's not really going to be until the last 10 minutes where, you know, we really start focusing on who's going to be pole. But you know, in these first couple of laps, it's really just the first couple of laps aren't going to be representative at all of actual final times.
Indeed it is, because obviously this traffic, everyone going out at once. You know, this traffic is going to be an absolute nightmare for the P2 cars that didn't go out immediately. But it's also going to be a very different idea to the qualifying session, because as you said, it's such a long lap. An out-lap P2 cars will take about 4 minutes. You've got to time these laps. They may only get about 7 or 8 flying laps, these P2 cars. I imagine something similar for the GT cars. But if you put the hard tyres on, you can go for lap after lap after lap. If you put the soft tyres on, you can only really do 1 lap at a time. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the qualifying strategies are today, and see who can find that gap in the traffic, because I believe at the head of the field is Nicky Jakovic in the 129 Virus car. Second in line is Patrick Baden in the 106 car.
Yeah, I think Nicky Jakovic is, Patrick Barton's actually just coming around up over the hill now, and Jakovic is going to go ahead of him. So, yeah, Nicky Jakovic's probably going to be one of the first P2s to get a lap in. I believe we're on board with Ahmed Demirkan on the broadcast at the moment, and he's in the Caspian Motorsport car. And Ahmed, of course, the Caspian team have had a good season this season, but they're going to need some good results here to get the championship.
Indeed, they've got 72 and 3/4 points. Nothing to be sniffed at, but they're a good 34. They're about, they're 33.5 points behind Ramada Motorsports, because Ramada Motorsports has just had such a wonderful season. They're going to need some sort of minor miracle today to have a shot at the championship.
Well, Le Mans, as we say, giveth and it taketh away. Maybe they'll get their miracle. Maybe they will get it. We don't know yet, of course. We won't know for an hour who's going to be on pole, but we can watch until that time. I guess, ultimately, we can just keep an eye on the times as they come in and see what goes on.
You just have a look, there's a little bit of a gaggle between Lee Russell, Ali Ferry and Lopez there. Ferry trying to get past the two GT cars in order to, obviously all these cars still in their out laps won't actually get the first time laps for still another 4 minutes or so, just because of this the length of this lap.
Yeah, such a long lap, as we say. It takes so long to get around, and drivers are just going to not get as many laps as they might like, unless they don't do the whole one lap and straight back in strategy. Some teams might do that just to get more laps in. They might actually take more tyre wear if they're on a harder compound just to get another shot of the lap. As Nicky Jakovic is going to start one, I believe, as he comes around the final couple of corners. The chicanes there. He is going to start this lap. It's going to be about 3.5 minutes before he finishes it, though.
Indeed, this 8.5 mile track, as I said, 13.6 kilometers long. A massive classic track as he gets the back ends ever so slightly under braking for the Dunlop chicane, hits both apexes nicely coming down the hill where Alan McNish had his massive accident trying to lap a Ferrari in the first hour of the 24 Hours of Le Mans a few years ago now, through the Tetra Rouge S, cuts that apex nicely out wide, doesn't go in the grass though, uses the maximum he can out of that on that curb, and then coming down the Hono d'Hier for the first time. This massive straight, 3 straights of course, split by 2 chicanes, and coming down to this first chicane is the maximum speed for these P2 cars.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bumpy road, and you'll see the undulations in it as Jakovic goes down and gets faster and faster and faster, hits his VMAX, and then brakes all the way down to second gear for the first chicane. Then it's straight back on the throttle for Jakovic. You'll just see him increase the speed, 220, 230, 240 kilometers an hour. Into 5th gear he goes. You just see him accelerate and accelerate, and the speed just increases, doing 300s at some points and then increasing further. He's just absolutely on it this lap as Jakovic, and he just goes to show how quick the cars are. Almost 320 kilometers an hour before he breaks from the next chicane.
Indeed, coming down into the first chicane on the back straight, he got up to 324 kilometers an hour before his braking zone. Absolutely frightening speed as he comes out of the second chicane now, along the bumpiest section, well, the most undulating section of the Mulsanne straight, up over the crest of the hill, and diving back down again for Mulsanne corner. A very difficult braking zone as well, because it's curved. You've got to, it's curved, the braking zone for that. A fantastic line through Mulsanne corner, coming up at the run through Indianapolis. 3 kinks coming up to the Indianapolis. You've got to count them and make sure you don't lose track of where you are on the track.
You gotta watch it indeed. He has this run down to the next couple of corners to go. I'd love to go on board with Jakovic if it's at all possible, just to see how quick he's going and how he's going to tackle the upcoming corners. But Jakovic coming round into Indianapolis now. Curved brake and gotta get it right. Does get it right. Then into the banking corner that is Indianapolis. Carries a lot of speed. Bit of oversteer on the exit before he comes to Arnage now, which is a 90-degree right-hander exiting the road course section of the track. Coming up to the rest of it, well, he will be exiting it in the next turn, but here is the most fearsome part of the track, the Porsche curves. It's a nightmare when you don't have much grip. Such fast turns, so easy to get wrong, and Nicky Jakovic is about to take them on. Into the first one, it's a right-hander. You brake and dish shift down, watch the understeer. He holds it nicely, then through the left-hander. This is such a fast section of the track. He's going through another left, then another right. And they're not done yet because there is through Maison Blanche, another left, before another section into Corvette. And then finally the four chicanes, which are so easily gotten wrong as well if you're not careful. And Nicky Jakovic is going to set the first time, I believe, this qualifying session into the four chicanes. Left, then right. And then left, then right again. Hits the brakes a bit more. What is Nicky Jakovic's time going to be? Crosses the line. He's going to set the benchmark. And the benchmark will be a 3:34.301.
See that Patrick Barton second across the line, that 106 Blackhawk P2 car, slightly slower for him, coming out the Ford chicanes. His lap is a 36.2, almost exactly 2 seconds behind Nicky Jakovic. He's pulled across to the side of the road. They're doing one lap only. The same with Nicky Jakovic, it looks like, as well. Those P2 cars are doing one lap only. Peretti in the 120 Scania Endurance Motorsport car, fourth place at 3:40.7. Not a very good lap for him, but he's going for a second lap. He might have the soft tyres on. He might think you can go faster on the second lap.
He might do. He might full well do. And we'll see exactly how it goes for them and the rest of the teams. Time's starting to filter in now at a slightly faster rate than they were before. We have Luke Walsh for Simtech has gone a 3:35.2, 1.2 seconds down on Jakovic. We have Alessandro Peretti in the 120 car in the Sakana Endurance. He is in fourth place. Now, that car is in a bit of a tricky situation because they have 4 stop and hold 60s to serve from the previous race. So they are going to need a good qualifying.
Indeed, the GT times are starting to come in, and it's Manish Sokis from the 162 Slide Right car, someone that they've brought in for this race because there was only 2 of them for the rest, for the entire season. The third person, he's the new person brought in for this race. 10th position overall, second in class at the moment. Fantastic showing for him in the Slide Right car. However, Pedro Lopez in the 177 Gaming Events GT car, they need a miracle today to win the championship. Currently provisional pole with a 3:57.4.
Yep, Stephen Bailey saying it's practically not going to matter where Sakana qualify if they have 4 stop and hold 60s. And of course, Bailey, someone who's very experienced in the Red Bull Endurance Championship, so he knows a lot about endurance racing. Obviously, his opinions, when he says something, that, he knows what he's talking about, Stephen Bailey. And, well, it is a pleasure to have you, of course, along with us today. And hopefully you'll enjoy the race. Hopefully you'll all enjoy the race. But, yeah, they're going to have 240 seconds of penalties to deal with.
And here, 240 seconds, well, 240 seconds is 4 minutes, of course. That's a full lap. Other circuits, that doesn't sound much, like the last round at Red Bull Ring. A lap really wasn't that much because the lap is so short, but because it's here at Le Mans, it's essentially almost impossible to make up.
It's basically a full lap, isn't it? It's basically a full lap. They're going to lose a full lap, including pit entry and exit time. So they're going to be a lap down before they even get going. And, well, that's the thing. You've got to watch yourself and set up for Le Mans, really, because you don't want penalties coming into it.
Indeed, and having a look, Jakovic, is he on another lap? Let's have a look. I think he's still in his out lap, actually. He turns through Arnage corner. Yes, I do believe he still is on an out lap. And that's just amazing, because, it's going to be... it's so long to set another lap. You've got to really time these out laps. Luke Walsh did the same idea, as did Patrick Baden, as Greg Hall in the 139 Fanatec Drag Racing car goes up into third place at 35.8.
Yep, Hall there in third place car, the Drake car again. Another team who are in championship contention, but they're going to need quite a lot of things to go their way this race if they're going to win it. But either way, they can try. That's what they can do, because they shall try and they may come out successfully. We don't know. We won't know until the 12 hours is done. But what we do know is that this is setting up to be a fantastic race so far. Of course, keep your comments rolling in, and we'll keep looking at them throughout the broadcast. And I've just actually seen that Ed Trevelyan Johnson has posted a nice little link to our brand new SimRacing.Club members Discord server, so you can join in with the race chat there if you like as well.
Indeed, it's a fantastic addition to our ever-growing social media pages.
It is, we like a good social media presence here at SRC. We like to engage with our viewers, and You know, let them get involved in the broadcasts. You know, we like that. It's important to engage your audiences, and we think, you know, that, you know, it's important to do so. So get involved, do.
Indeed, just having a look, Nicky Jakovic is on his flying lap again, 900ths of a second up in the first sector alone. The sectors here are a little bit uneven. You'd expect them to be evenly spread throughout the track. Not here. The first sector is just before Tetra Rouge. The second sector line is just after Mulsanne Corner. So that middle sector is really all about that speed because it uses the entire Honodier. And the first sector is really about your sort of like mid-speed maneuverability. And the third sector is really about your high-speed downforce because it's got the Porsche curves and Indianapolis in it as well. So 3 very different sectors at Le Mans, which makes it slightly more difficult to set up. However, you really want to set up for stability through those Porsche curves because that's where you can make up the most time.
Yeah, that's where you could make up the most time. And, well, time to be made up is important, of course, but, you know, they've got so long in this session to set these laps. See, the pressure isn't really on because I know they're only going to have 8 laps or so, but you know, it's still a lot of time. Still a lot of time in this session.
Then just having a look, Nicky Jakovic is coming up over the rise at Mulsanne Corner where Mark Webber had one of his spectacular accidents in the Mercedes, the same car that Peter Dumbreck had his accident. Coming through the second sector, he's now 0.2 of a second up in his own lap time. So he could be getting into the 133s here for the 129 Team Virus car. Indeed, Maciek Milniak in the 107 car now. That is the RGPL car. They need quite an interesting day today as well. They need to win. Monaco needs to come 9th. It would be very difficult for them. And speaking of Monaco, it's Borja Milan at the wheel at the moment, I believe correctly, but they've yet to go out.
Yeah, they are yet to go out, which is maybe a slight surprise, but they're probably just making sure that when they do a lap, it's going to be the best lap possible. I imagine a lot of prep is going to go into this qualifying session for the teams. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And, well, I think we're watching the CMHQ car at the moment with Rickard Nilsson on the broadcast. I'm watching Nilsson at the moment. He's coming on the Porsche curves. So easy to get wrong, as we said before. But Nilsson seems to be tackling them nicely here. And that is, I believe, an all, with the exception of Ricardo Azevedo, who I think is in addition to the team for this round, it's an all Swedish outfit.
Indeed, they'll be eating the meatballs if they win the race today, but it might be worth looking at Ali Ferry at the moment, almost a second up in her own lap time, coming at the second sector, just exited her Nurse corner on the run up to the Porsche curves. Got to see if she can improve her lap time in the 132 Atlantic Motorsport car.
And to be a second up with this much chalk left is always great, so, you know, we'll see exactly how Ali goes and throughout this lap. And of course, they have another car, the 132 and the 133 they have in this series. April Dillon and the other car qualifying at the moment. But yeah, going to be interesting to see how this goes because, you know, those cars, the Atlantic cars, have been quite good this race, and not just this race, throughout the whole season. And, you know, it's always been nice to see them around as well.
Indeed, the 133 car is actually a second car for that team. The 132 car is their main car. Ali Ferry has a wiggle coming out the Ford chicane. It was a 137.5, puts her up to 7th place for that 132 car.
Yep, and, well, up she goes then, Ferry into 7th. So, good result from her, definitely. And, you know, good start to the qualifying session for Atlantic. Trying to keep an eye on the...
Pizzo as well has gone half a second up after the first 2 sectors in 118 Witchwood Goblin car. That might be something to look for. Indeed, Thomas Hintz in the Eva Racing car has gone half a second up in the first sector alone.
Yep, he has done, and obviously a lot of improvements yet to come from teams. I'm trying to keep an eye on the GT field at the moment because there's a lot of action going on there at the moment.
Lee Russell's 1.1 seconds up on his own lap time. He's just coming into Indianapolis.
And that'll put him around 3rd or 4th in class, so we need to keep an eye on Lee Russell if he makes much more of an improvement. That Mellow car could find itself on provisional pole. Of course, provisional pole held by Ramada Motorsports at the moment, only by about 2 tenths from the Gaming Events 177 cars. It's very close in the GT field.
Indeed, that Mel Motorsports car has had horrid luck this season, hasn't it, Josh? I think it got taken out by P2 cars in the first 5 rounds of the championship, or something like that. It's just been an absolutely horrid season for the Mel Motorsports car.
Yeah, it's not been their season. They've just had problems throughout the first summer races, but you know, they've got it together now, I think. Or starting to get it together. Le Mans might just be the sort of golden moment, really. They might actually finally come good. You know, things might go right for them and they might get some luck, but who knows, who knows.
Indeed, Lee Russell just, very, very wide, hanging the back end round Virage Corvette, coming through Maison Blanche, braking zone for the Ford chicanes now. We've got to see what he can do through the first one, left and right, slightly slower the second one, left and right again, putting on the power as early as possible, hanging the back out. He's gone from 23rd overall to 22nd. Only one position up for him, but 5th in class for Lee Russell in that Miller Motorsports car.
And that's a great start of proceedings for them. I think they're going to be very happy with that, but of course they will want more. They will want to get further up the order, and further up the order I'm sure they will go if you can find time. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on all of the field at once here. But yeah, they have to find time, and time they have to find. But speaking of time, the time gap between Nicky Jakovic and Matthew Lynott at the moment is pretty immense. 1.5 seconds.
You're saying that, but Bory Milan has just gone on his outlap. He's just came out of Mulsanne corner. We have to see what the one car can do, and something quite interesting actually, as he's came out about 3-4 seconds or so behind Nicky Jakovic. So possibly letting the Virus car clear the way for him on his flying lap. So that could be a very interesting strategic call from the 121 car.
It could be. They're just trying to keep them in sight, I believe. And, well, boy, Milan, it's going to be interesting to see how Milan qualifies. A very capable driver, as we know, is the Spaniard. And obviously joined in that car by Nico Barkley, as well as Argenis Riera, at least as before, and Edgar Reith on the side of the car there. So that 121 car, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. Going to be pretty interesting in this qualifying.
Something that you may want to see is Eunice Ravio, a fantastically fast driver. He's a second up on his own lap time. He's on the run up to the Porsche curves. We've got to see what the 111 car can do, currently in 11th place. All of the ones for Eunice Ravio. See what he can do. He's now in actually 12th place, coming up to the Porsche curves. Incredibly quick, and these P2 cars are absolutely planted through here. No variation of oversteer whatsoever through the first of the left-handers and the second left-handers. Really a double apex corner, those two, and the right-hander where you can catch those GT cars so quickly through Virage Corvette. The run up to the flat-out S that is Maison Blanche. And just keep your nerve for the braking zone of the Ford chicanes through the first one. That can be, these both can really be taken in second gear, but the second one is far slower. The left and the right being on the power. What can Ravio do?
We'll see what he can do.
He's jumped up into 5th. He's the 36-1.
That is an impressive lap from Ravio there. Very impressive stuff from the Finn, and I'm sure he'll be happy with that. I think Eunice Ravio, didn't he used to drive for Eva Racing by Basilea? Now he's in the same HQ car.
No, the 111 is the Eva Racing car.
Oh yeah, the 111 is there, but Ravio, of course, in the same HQ 138.
Indeed, I think he did used to drive for that. Yeah, he used to drive for David Yunt's team, which I think is SimHQ.
No, David Dillon's team is Eva Racing by Basilea, which Thomas Hinds is currently driving for in the P9 spot there, and he's just coming around. Just coming around here. Hinds is actually looking in pretty good form at the moment.
Indeed, Hinds is looking in very good form. He's currently in. Let's have a look. Where is he at the moment? He's in 9th place at the moment.
Yep, and well, he's very capable on his day, Thomas Hinds. You know, one of the most capable drivers I know. Definitely. When on form, it just seems to be when things go wrong for him, it just seems to get to him a little bit. Hopefully it won't in this race though. Hopefully things will go all right for the Aussie as he comes around Indianapolis now. It is a lovely looking car, that Eva Racing by Basilea car.
Indeed, it's an absolutely fantastic looking car.
I think it's based on the GT300 car that raced once in the good old days, like the 1990s. I don't know though. It looks very similar. Either way, we'll see exactly how Hinds does, but you know, it is a lovely looking car that hopefully can get it to a good position. 9th at the moment would be good start for them for Le Mans. Obviously, you'll want a bit more than that. I think Hinz will probably be targeting the top 5. You'll want to beat Rivio for one, the former driver of the team, you know, just to say, you know, yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Something to look at for, well, about 3 minutes now is Rickard Nielsen in the 128 SimHQ Motorsports car has gone half a second up on his own time through the first sector. I've got to keep an eye on that 128 car.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to be kept an eye on, you know, this significant improvements because, you know, it could be really close qualifying in the end as Hinz is going to come across the line out to complete his lap. He's going to improve to P8. He goes up a position, gets ahead of Rickard Nielsen. Still a while to Jonas Rivio, though.
And he's still, there seems to be a little bit of a gap between the two of them. As I say that, Patrick Barnes just gone up to 7th place on the in the 106 car, a 3:36.2 for him. But indeed, just having looked, Greg Hall's gone marginally faster through the first sector, I should say. Nicky Jakovic is 1.3 seconds down. But where is Borja Milan? He'll be about to finish his lap actually, 35th position at the moment.
Yep, he's about to finish his lap.
He's just came out of Arnage corner.
Yeah, Arnage is obviously Milan is just coming out of there, coming into the run into Indianapolis then. So going to be interesting to see how this goes. Milan is going to come round. It's such a difficult corner to get right, isn't it? Because, you know, so much can go wrong in Indianapolis and the banking as well makes it difficult in places. But he's just coming around into it now and, well, he takes it very nicely there.
This another outlap. I think it might actually be because he seems quite off. I think this might be another outlap, but I can't remember what times these cars tend to do. What time they tend to come out of Arnage. Oh no, I think that might actually be right. He might be on his first flying lap. I thought he might have lifted off at some point, but no, I think he is on his first proper flying lap.
Yep, he might be on his first full flying lap here, Borja Milan. We'll see how he goes. We've got Nate Lupson in the chat saying, let's see if we can get a nice draft down Mulsanne. Could really improve someone's lap time. And that's a fair point, actually, Neil. If the team can get themselves tactically placed and getting themselves a draft down the Mulsanne straight, that could really help them in this qualifying session.
Indeed, but of course, one of the rules here is that teammates cannot, on purpose, draft each other. So, that's only a problem for a couple of teams here. It's actually only a problem for the SimHQ team because they've got two. They've got 128 and 138, and Atlantic the 122.32 and the 133.
Yep, so they can't intentionally help each other as per the rules. And well, Stephen Bailey saying this multi-class session brings back nightmares from last season. Well, of course, last season in VEC, I believe we had multi-class qualifying. And this season we don't. We have separate qualifying. But yeah, good to see it back for a track like Le Mans, I think.
Indeed, and you know, really for Le Mans, because it is such a large track, you really do need the open class qualifying.
I think you really do need it, to be honest. Really just needs to be done. And well, we are about halfway through this session now. There's 35 minutes to go, 25 down then. Going to be interesting to see how the rest of it goes and see who goes where in the final standings. But at the moment, at least, it is still Nicky Jakovic on pole for Team Virus in the 129 from the 123 Gaming Events P2 car with Sergio Azevedo in. They're doing quite well at the moment. And it's Maciej Blajnik in the 107 in the RGPL there. So, you know, good to see the Gaming Events car up so high.
Indeed, that gaming events car, very good to see them as high as they are at the moment.
Good to see them there, of course, and Azevedo obviously showing his pace as well. Although, you know, the gap to Jakovic still 1.5 seconds, which really just goes to show how quick Team Virus are, and what it's a statement of intent. This.
You're absolutely correct. It is a statement of intent to try and mark their dominance. Of course, Virus needs that good result today, but they also need misfortune on both Wanako's and the 150 Simtech car. For misfortune to fall on both of them in order for them to have a chance.
They need quite a bit to go their way, but you know, it might still happen. It might still happen. That's the thing about Le Mans. It really does throw up some potential real surprises, and well, great to see many more people in the chat. Of course, keep your comments rolling in. Keep your friends watching, and well, we've got, unfortunately, it's only taken half an hour, but we already have GNS buyers in the chat.
There we go. It's going to come eventually.
It took half an hour, but it started already. We have Jimmy Broadbent watching. Lovely to have you along, Jimmy, as well as Jimmy Otis as well. Jimmy Otis, I believe, a GNS driver in this series. So, great to see drivers and teams alike watching.
Indeed, it's fantastic. Of course, they can always use the YouTube stream for some strategic value as well.
I guess it has some, but still, it's always nice to see people watching along, watching the race go by, and well, Justin Gordon we have in the chat as well, seeing another GNS boy. I bet you know what it is. I bet Jimmy's just told his drivers to watch the stream so we can have a GNS invasion at some point, and I bet that's what's going on here.
It probably is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it might happen, but still, great to have people watching, as we say, and well, just it's such a long session, this, but at the same time, there's so much going on.
Indeed, but we've got 37 cars at the moment, don't we? We do indeed. It's extremely busy track, and even though the track is so massive, it's very difficult to find some free space.
It can be if everyone wants to try and go out at once, but yeah, you just need your space at a track like this, especially if you're a GT, because you're gonna have the prototypes bearing down on you at some points.
Indeed, it's got to be a little bit of there's got to be some compromises between the two of them in order for them to be able to pass safely, especially in this qualifying session. GT cars have got to be slightly aware of where the P2 cars are, and vice versa, because you don't want to ruin the other driver's qualifying lap.
Yep, you've just got to there's got to be a compromise between the GTs and the P2s here. I mean, I'm trying to find any GTs that are near P2s at the moment, or P2s that are near GTs, and I'm not really seeing any. But I imagine, when there is one, the usual standard procedure will apply. Oh, I'll tell you what, Luke Walsh has just gotten past, I believe, the Mallow Motorsports car. There's one, and Tony Mallow's just passed one of the GT cars on his lap there. So, yeah, round the track like Le Mans, if you hit GTs run into a GT on the straight, it's slightly easier to deal with, because you can just do what you do, just get past them nice and easy, use the Z acceleration advantage. If you're in the middle of a corner, though, it's not going to be so easy as Ollie McGowan's going to find, because he's got a GT in front of him at the moment. But you see, he's just going to the right here nicely. The GT just stays in place, and it's easily done under acceleration. So, he's doing what he must do, getting through there, and the GT just holding the line because, well, as a very famous band one put it, love isn't always on time. So, just patience is a virtue here at Le Mans. Well, either way, McGowan, I'm sure, is going to be on for a very interesting lap here, but still, we'll see what's going to happen with the Speedy Mind car, the number 113, as he comes around on Arch. McGowan really has been one of those drivers who's been such a pleasure to chat with, and in fact, it's not just the Union Jack on the back of that car, it's also, I think, the New Zealand flag as well. So, good to see, good to see that there. Best of both worlds, really. Good to see that. Nice to see that, it's really just celebrating themselves, and, the fact that they are a very international team, Speedy Might, and that's always nice to see. Teams with lots of drivers from lots of places. James Wilson saying not enough DHR bias here, and Mike Bell saying Relish Racing for the win. So we obviously got lots of fans of lots of teams, as we've seen before, and well, we don't know who's going to win yet, but I'm sure we will by the end of the 12 hours, of course. McGowan, I don't believe, has improved his time. Boya Milan has gone second in the, while I've not been looking, so he has gone second in that one Akko car, only 6/10 down on Jakovich. Pressure starting to be applied as, well, everyone's favourite Scott, Neil Heatley, is back, and I was just saying there, Boya Milan in second.
Indeed, that was exactly what we were expecting. We know that one car is extremely fast. Second is roughly where we'd expect them to be.
Yep, they are going to want to be about there, really. That's exactly where you'd expect them to be. And, well, right where they want to be at the moment. They're just there. They're just there. They exist in that position.
Indeed, and it's just shown their pace so far today. As I said, they need to finish 4th or above. That's their championship guaranteed, and that's all they need. Of course, but the current leaders are the Virus car. They've been extraordinarily quick all season, but they've been plagued by uh, issues with connections. Actually, that's why they are not fast. That's why they're not as high up as they really should be. It's really been connection issues that have faltered One Akko's shot at the championship. As I'm just coming back to the server after making a small update to my driver, so I actually have all the cars in the right order. But indeed, it's very, very interesting session so far. Iris and Pole, then is there actually RGPL that are in second place, a 33.9 for Magic Mielniak. Only 3/10 between the two at the moment. That could easily be caught up on the track as long as Le Mans. Borja Milan 6/10 behind Jakovic, 3/10 behind Mielniak, and that One Akko car. Very close between those three cars at the moment, and just there in the wings, almost a full second behind, is Sergio Azevedo in the Gaming Events P2 car. Fifth place is currently Tony Mella in the 115 Ghost Motorsports car. So that's currently your top three in that P2 class. Just having a look as I'm still loading back into the server after that. Pardon me, after getting that small update for myself. But of course, something to look out for today, Josh, is the number of code 80s. You know, because it is so easy to have such a massive accident on this track. But because of the length of it, these code 80s are going to take far longer than they normally would.
Yeah, especially if there's one at the start of the lap as well. You know, that is going to mean probably, 10, 12 minutes, I'd imagine, for a code 80, because usually they they double or triple the lap length. So, or the lap time. So, they're going to have a big, long code 80. Tyres are going to cool down a lot during that, and they're going to be cold on the restart. So maybe code 80 is not something that's going to be a bad thing at this race.
Indeed, and as always on every track, there's a bad place to get back to code 80. There's a bad place to restart the race. I'd probably say here it's the Porsche cars, because you're so used to getting at them at full speed. If you have to restart the Porsche curves, it's going to be very difficult to judge the speed.
Yeah, it is going to be very, very difficult to judge the speed sometimes, and code 80s around here really going to hurt some teams, you imagine, at points during this race. But either way, at the moment at least, not really, you're not going to get any, obviously, in qualifying, but still, going to be very interesting to see if there are any during the race. Because it could really throw some strategies off kilter if that's the case, but hopefully we won't get too many. We've had races before where we've not had a single one. So it's always good when that happens, so we can have 12 hours of uninterrupted racing, but if they needed...
I'd be extremely surprised if we could manage 12 hours of uninterrupted racing. Let's put it that way.
Well, it might happen. Be positive, Neil. Be positive.
Be positive. There we go.
I'm sure Maciej Mladenek's feeling pretty positive, just 3/10 down on Nicky Jakovic.
Did only the 3/10 between those two cars, of course. They're both trying to beat One Akko as comprehensively as possible. But Borja Milan and that 121 car, instead of staying there in third, of course, that is all that they need. That's all they need for the championship. So I think he might be content with third.
Might be very happy with third indeed. If he can just hold that in the race, then all will go well, of course. But won't really be no problems with third for One Akko, because as we said, as per the championship ratifications, they only need a fourth or higher.
I think it's worth saying in the GT class as well. Nuno Pinto in the 151 Ramada Motorsports, there we go. Provisional pole again by just over a tenth over Demirkan. But indeed, that Ramada Motorsports car, where we've seen it all season. Right there at the pointy end of the grid. Demirkin in second. Manusakis in third at the moment with the 162 slide right car. A very good job in qualifying for that car so far. Lopez in fourth in the 177 Gaming Events GT car. And fifth is Mike Horn in the Blackhawk car.
Yeah, of course, Mike Horn in that Blackhawk car. Another one of the very capable drivers we've seen in the field. You know, this field is full of brilliant drivers and teams. You know, drivers and teams that, you know, you really know the high quality because, you know, a lot of them have had to come through the SimRacing.Club Academy. Some of them haven't, of course, but some have.
And it is something introduced towards the beginning of the season. Well, no, sorry, it was after the season had actually begun. It was probably about October, if I remember correctly. This Sim Racing Academy was introduced just to make sure that you know, you are a competent driver. That's essentially all that it's there for.
It kind of helps as well. Drivers show themselves off before they actually get into VLMS or VEC as well, doesn't it? Because you know, it helps them show their worth and show their talent before they actually get a seat. So, you know, it kind of helps them as well. And
yeah, you saying for example, Sten Ambus has been brought in the 129 Virus car. He's an SRCA graduate from I think last season or the season before.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, it shows once you get that license 4, you can really start to move yourself into the. It's not difficult to get into the top echelons of SimRacing.Club racing. You know, it's really not difficult. And, you know, they apply for all our Factor 2 series, Virtual Super GT, Virtual Le Mans Series, Virtual Endurance Championship. And, of course, SimRacing.Club Academy available for drivers with the SimRacing.Club License 4 who haven't been picked up. So, you know, they're not out of racing completely.
Indeed, of course, you can do SRCA unlimited number of times as long as you haven't been picked up by VLMS team.
Or a VEC team even, but...
or indeed a VEC team, both of them actually.
Really, just as long as you've got that license 4, you can have a go in Academy. So, you know, it's really a place where people can prove their worth. And, of course, we've got some teams running driver development programs now as well. So, you know, these drivers can find themselves in those maybe.
The Seawolf car in P2 in Room 1 of VEC has got a development program, as does Team Virus. I certainly know both of them have.
Yeah, so, you know, there are opportunities for these drivers. Definite opportunities and definite chances to shine in these broadcasts and in races for the drivers. You know, the future is bright here, I feel, at SimRacing.Club, you know, for the next generation of drivers, really just to come in.
Pardon me, indeed we have. As we have actually got 30 cars in the field, I do believe that is a full house for us.
Yeah, and that's amazing. It's always nice to have a full house. And Le Mans, you know, it really goes to show just how dedicated these teams are. Every single one has shown up. So, 20 minutes and 35 seconds to go in this session. Nicky Jagovic still leads it, but now only by 3/10 from Maciej Majnek. And then Boyan Milan third in the P2 field, then Sergio Azevedo, then Tony Mella. So Ghost Motorsport having a good run at the moment in the 115.
Indeed, that 115 car currently in 5th place, that is the Ghost Motorsport car. They are currently 10th in the P2 standings. Not the best of seasons for them, 42.25 points, but it's still very easy to gain places because between them and the 124 car and the 111 car, there's only 3.5 points between the three of them. So there could still be many changes in these championships, and of course, because it's double points, every single position is worth more.
Yeah, double points here as well. So, you know, it really doesn't make all the difference. You know, you're going to get 50 for the win instead of 25. So it really does help in the deciding of the championship. It just keeps it a little bit more open going into Le Mans. I've just seen Tony Mala's had a bit of a do there, actually. I was talking about Tony Mala, and it was coming into the Ford chicanes. He was coming up to a GT car. I believe that was the Scuderia Denopo, actually. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Mala went down the inside of the Denopo car. I feel like it... Yeah, the Denopo car, I think, just held its line. I don't know whether Mala was... Mala wasn't turning in on it, of course. He was probably trying to go left for the corner, not right, because it's not the right turn. But still, Mala... looking at what happened, you know, he just, yeah, he was going left, and, well, it's a bit of a racing incident, I believe.
Indeed, as I said, it requires a whole load of coordination between the two cars in order to be able to pass, because at many points in this track, especially through the curves, as I said, through Indianapolis, through the Porsche curves, there's so much of a speed difference between the two classes.
Yeah, speed diff can be quite serious, at points here, but still, drivers managing it well, and that's what we like to see, of course. Good to see that people are managing that well, of course, and just getting on with it. Tony Mello, of course, will have to start a new lap, of course. But, it's now Minek has actually closed the gap to a 10th to Jakovic there. That is close.
Borja Milan's just on the lap, coming through the Ford chicanes, about to start his next flying lap. Just managed to hit the curb beautifully on the outside there. 18 minutes to go. What can the Monaco driver do? And indeed, looking through, Niki Jakovic currently sitting in the pits, possibly waiting a little bit to see what he can do. Waiting for a gap in the traffic, perhaps. Milnick in the 107 car, also in an outlap. Patrick Baden also in an outlap in the 106 car. The first car in the order on a flying lap, Sergio Acevedo in the 123 Gaming Events P2 car. He's less than a tenth of a second behind Baden. It's only a little bit of an improvement he needs in order to be able to improve his lap time. But right behind him is actually April Dillon in the 133 Atlantic Motorsport car. On an outlap herself, if she can stay with Acevedo, she might be able to take the draft for her next flying lap.
Might be able to, yeah, and let's see if she can, because that would really, as we said before, help out if, you get the draft. Because, such a long track, you can get a speed advantage.
Indeed, it's worth about, I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's worth 4 or 5 kilometers an hour being in the draft. It doesn't sound that much, however, it is a massive amount, especially considering the length of these straights.
Can really, really help you out, and, help you gain a second, 2 seconds perhaps. So, if Dylan can just get into the draft here, then, she's going to find out just how useful it can be for her. But it's not really going to happen at this rate unless she really gets a move on.
There's actually a massive gulf in the GT car, say between 33rd overall and 32nd overall. That's Sardina in the Scuderia Genopo in the 171, and Serra in the R-Factor 2 race 155 car. There's 1.25 seconds between the two of them, and a further 1.75 seconds to Campbell Wallace in the 199 Wheelers Racing car behind him. So once you get down towards the back of the GT class, there's starting to be quite large gaps. But to be honest, in a 12-hour endurance race, it doesn't really matter.
It's not as important, we'll put it that way. It's not that important. It's as important that, that is the case. But, Nuno Pinto still leading the GT qualifying at the moment, but only by a 10th from Ahmed Demirkan in the Caspian car. And he himself is only a 10th ahead of George Manasagas in the slide ride. So still very close running GT qualifying. Pedro Lopez, in that Corvette there is not far behind, neither is Mike Horn. And, it's really at this sort of track where the characteristics of the cars are going to come into play, Neil, because as we say in the GT field, it's so nice to have a variety of cars in the field. We have the Ferrari, which is an all-rounder. We have the Corvette, which is more straight-line speed-based, but still pretty good all-round. The Aston Martin, which is the powerhouse in the straight. You've got the Dodge Viper, which has got so much torque out of that 8.2-litre engine. The acceleration is phenomenal. You've got the Porsches as well, of Core Team. This is a handling-based car, so they're going to suffer in the long sections.
You've got BMW as well, the Caspian Motors, singular BMW, and a singular Aston Martin Vantage as well. So, Caspian Motorsport and Blackhawk respectively. And it just goes to show that how good these marks are, because of course Blackhawk in second and Caspian in fourth in the championship.
We do actually have a second BMW. It's the RGPL car, Karl Petrovsky in the 197.
So we do, yes.
They are a BMW too, and the BMW itself is more of a handling-focused car, isn't it?
Indeed, it is. It's just something about that car, and obviously the wheelbase and position of it, that makes it turn really well. But of course, it appears that the best cars this season, and what a lot of drive teams have actually chose, is that Corvette C7R. That's definitely the most popular in the GT class.
Yeah, of course, the dominant team
You say
is...
that as Manasoukis has gone fastest in the slide right car by half a second over Pinto.
Wow, that is good for them. It's not usual. We see Slide Right so far up the order, and Manasakis has really helped him out here. And they've put them on a 3:55.777. So very lucky in that sense. If you got 777 at the casino, you know you're lucky. But you know, maybe it's going to be lucky for them. Maybe Ramada Motorsport in that Viper won't be able to match it.
And we just got to see what Ramada Motorsport do in that SRT Viper. But as I said, yeah, the top four in the GT Championship are 4 different marks, so the balance of performance has worked extremely well this season. It's just that Ramada have been ruthlessly consistent.
Yeah, they have just been so consistent, this team, the Ramada team in that Dodge Viper. You know, such a powerhouse car in terms of torque, you know. It handles well as well, but its real strength is the acceleration out the corners because it has so much more torque than any other car. I believe, with the exception of possibly the Corvettes. 8.2 litres in that V10 engine. You only get about 5,000, 6,000 revs out of it because it's so big, the engine, and it sounds phenomenal. If we can go on board with Nuno Pinto, I would be really happy because it's just a lovely, lovely car just to sit and listen to, this Viper of the Ramada Motorsports team. It's just really, it just sounds beautiful. You can just hear the roar of the Chrysler Dodge V10 that it has. I just love listening to it.
It is very, very earthy, that that car. Is Nicky Jakovic just coming in at the second chicane on the Honda DR. You can see what his lap time coming over the first crest on the Mulsanne on the third part of the straight, over the second, and just waiting for that braking zone into Mulsanne corner. Of course, the second slowest part on the track is Mulsanne corner. The absolute slowest is Arnage. Get down to about 80 kilometers an hour or so in these P2 cars.
80 kilometers or so, you know, it's really a slow corner, isn't it? So, you know, gotta take it carefully. If you take too much speed, you're gonna run yourself into problems. Ahmed Demakan has actually stopped at the first chicane there, I believe. For some reason, he's aborted that lap. He's gone straight on. And Mike Horn behind in P27 is who we're looking at on the broadcast now. And that Aston Martin, you know, in its own right is a lovely sounding car, although heat has gone a bit on as well, so he's going to abort his lap, I believe. So we'll probably end up looking at Nicola D'Agostino now. So the camera changing a lot. And, well, D'Agostino and that Corvette, that Witchwood Corvette, is very good looking car indeed as well. You know, good position for them so far.
Indeed, a very good position for D'Agostino, that Witchwood car, the number 169, 28th place overall, 6th in class. They're 7th in the championship at the moment, 60.5 points. They can actually still finish 2nd in the championship, but they're just outside the realms of winning it.
Oh, I see, it's so hard now for teams to get the laps in. I've just seen Pedro Lopez lose it out of the second chicane in that Corvette. So, you know, it's showing just how difficult it can be for these drivers sometimes to actually get laps in, you know, at the end of the session. You know, even though the track's rubbered in at this point, the grip's there, but it's using it effectively. That is the difficulty, you know?
Indeed, and of course, it's starting to get to crunch time. Perhaps the drivers are feeling pressure because they know soon they won't be able to complete an outlap, your final lap. So perhaps they want to just push as hard as possible to get that one final lap in.
Yeah, they need to realistically be out on track before the 4 minutes and 20 seconds mark if they want to get one more lap in. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see who is where when the flag drops to say that the session is done. Manasakis, though, has been usurped by Pinto in the Ramada car. Has gone 2 tenths quicker, I've been noticing. So that Ramada car back on pole. And, well, I'll tell you this. We have 2 Vipers in the top 7 because Lee Russell in the Mallow car, 7th.
Indeed, Lee Russell in that Mellow Motorsports car is roughly where we've actually seen them further up for most of the qualification sessions, actually. But it's just been horrific luck for that Mellow Motorsports car this season. But yes, it's another second of the Vipers.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to be for the Mallow team. As we say, not much luck for them this season, but I believe this is going to be the last lap because they're going out now. So they're going to have 1 minute to go, I believe, when they are done their final laps. So they're going to get this one more lap. At this point, you'd pretty much be getting just one more to go anyway. But yeah, going to be interesting to see how this goes for them and for the rest of the teams as well. Of course, Nuno Pinto still leading the GT qualifying in that car there. And, top end GT lap then in qualifying trim seems to be a 3:55. In race trim seems to be touching 4 minutes. So, there's going to be quite a speed differential between these cars come the race.
And these P2 cars in about race trim, they're going to be doing about 3-minute 40s or so, possibly 3:39s. So about 20 seconds a lap, the difference between the pole sitters, well, at least the fastest between the two classes. So that's something to look out for. It's not going to be long before the marshals have to get those blue flags out.
Thomas Bater saying in the chat, actually, 5 different GT makes in the top 5, which is very true. We have Dodge, we have Ferrari, we have BMW, we have Chevrolet, and we have Aston Martin. So, 5 different in the top 5 goes to show that Le Mans really is the great equaliser.
Indeed, and of course, with the balanced performance we've got here, they do have their own strengths and weaknesses, but it does kind of balance out round Le Mans. But of course, it's all about that driver skill, and we've seen the same drivers up towards the sharp end of that grid all season. Pinto, Demirkan, Lopez, Horn, D'Agostino. We've always seen those drivers at the front end of that GT field.
Yep, and Nate Lupson saying a testament to the balance of performance, perhaps. Yep, it is true. The fact that we have 5 and 5 is a real testament to how good the BOP is in VEC and VLMS. It really is just good to see that. And, Stephen Bailey saying it's a shame there aren't many different marks in VEC. You're right. We have a lot less in Room 1 in VEC. It's mostly Ferrari and Chevrolet field that, and Aston Martin maybe a couple. But, in VLMS, it is definitely nice to see all of the manufacturers in play here.
Indeed, I'm just having a look. Patrick Melnick has possibly time for this flying lap and one more. He's a minute 35 into his lap, which means he's got 2 minutes to the end of this one, which puts him about 4 minutes 45 to go. It's going to be very interesting to see if that RGPL can get us another lap in. As I say that, Nicky Jakovic has just started his lap. It balked ever so slightly by Sardina in the 171 car. However, see how Jakovic takes this, but he will have to do 2 laps in this run, or that is it for the Virus car. He might just have to sit and wait for the last 3 minutes of the session, see what happens.
They got themselves a bit of a draft out of that, but not much though. They're not going to gain too much time out of it, but every single 10 can be crucial around Le Mans. Even, when the qualifying is this tight, it really does matter. And Jakovic, I'm sure it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with this lap. Whether Mlinek gets many more in, how Bardin does. There really is a lot of unknowns going into this race. And it's going to be interesting to see how the qualifying shapes up to be in the end.
Indeed, Boya Milan is 2/10 up on his own lap time. He's just coming through our Nash corner at the moment. Got to see if he can improve that time. He's only 300ths of a second behind Baden at the moment. We've got to see what the Monaco driver can do. But of course, if he does even finish 5th in the race, if it continues as it is with Team Virus winning it, they'll still win the championship. You just got to really be careful of Simtech. That's their main rivals for this race. Simtech in the 150 car is currently in 7th place.
Yeah, was doing very well in 7th place at the moment. He'll have wanted pole, but 7th is still very acceptable, of course. And, obviously not going to be running much wing here at Le Mans. Tommy Oyala in the chat says, #bring back the big wing. And, this might be a bit before your time, Neil, but I agree. We need more big wings on Vipers. We need more big wings.
Boy Milan coming out of the final chicane, he moves up into 3rd. Ever so slowly behind Jakovic. Milniek has got provisional pole.
Yes, what a sudden change there. Maciej Mlinek says to Nicky Jakovic, you want pole, mate. You're going to have to work for it. He's going to make that Team Virus driver go 3/10 quicker if he wants pole. Jakovic will not be a happy Bosnian. Now he's seen that. He'll be thinking, hold on. I was pole there and he's nicked it from us. Now he's going to have to go quicker.
Jakovic has got 30 seconds left in this lap. It's going to be very interesting. If he can finish this lap, he's catching up to Campbell Wallace in the 199 car. That's going to ruin his lap. He's going around the outside of the Porsche curves, onto the grass, trying to go on the inside through Virage Corvette. That's this lap pretty much gone. However, yeah, and that's him going back to the pits. 3 minutes 55 to go. Will Djakovic be able to get another lap? He's just came out of the pits, his pit box at the moment, going on, taking the pit limit off. 3:43 to go.
He's going to need the
outlap.
outlap.
Djakovic will be cutting it.
He'll need the outlap of all outlaps here, especially considering that he's just had to let two P2 cars past. He will really need a brilliant outlap now to get it done. But, you know, it has been done before. It can be done again. Matthew Mlinek is going to have one more. We know that. And at this point, anyone who hasn't left isn't going to get one more in. So Joe Ciampa, April Dillon, Tony Malla, all not going to be completing any more laps in this session. As neither will Alessandro Peretti. You know, there are cars now who are done for the session. Lance Garacino in the SimRacing South Africa Protea car, the 170 GT, he won't get any more in. Neither will David Serra in the R Factor 2 race, Ferrari, the 155. So a lot of teams have called it in now. Campbell Wallace is done, as is Radek Serkin, the 192.
Got to see, they won't be improving their lap times. We've gone down to 37 drivers. Who did just leave us? It was Karel Petrovsky.
Yeah, the RGPL BMW. Interesting. Well, hopefully Karel will come back, because obviously that won't be good. It's not usually advisable to leave and rejoin in qualifying sessions, but still, that's what he's done, so hopefully he'll come back.
We've got to see what Djakovic can do here. It's going to be incredibly close for the Bosnian, but indeed Maciej Milniak coming down into Mulsanne corner. Going to be able to have one more go at this. Will he be able to improve his lead? He's 3 as Petrovsky comes back in the 197. Will he be able to improve his last time next time round? But he's got Borja Milan right behind him. Milan trying to take up all of that wonderful slipstream. See if he can leapfrog Milniak and Djakovic. Only less than 4 between the three of them at the moment.
He's gonna need to do that, and well, it would be good if Monaco got on pole, you know, because they have the least amount of work to do. But a fourth or higher will guarantee them this championship. But you know, for RGPL and for Team Virus, they've got a lot more work to do, and you know, they are gonna have to try really and you know get the win more than Monaco do. But Monaco pretty much gonna be running their own race. Patrick Barnes actually leaving the pits despite the fact he can't complete a lap, but I think he's realised his mistake and he's coming straight back in.
Indeed, it would be absolutely miraculous if you do a lap of Le Mans 1 minute 15. You will be having a light ship. But anyway, Maciej Milniak is just coming up with Nicola D'Agostino at the moment. But luckily he's on his out lap, just coming through the Porsche curves. He can just wait and try and pass him coming out of Virage Corvette. And indeed he does, just waiting for his lap time, being able to accelerate through Maison Blanche. He wants to try and set up the best run out of the Ford chicane to come up to start his final lap. Borja Milan is doing the same. He's actually going to catch D'Agostino, possibly in an inopportune place. He may well be able to pass him on the run up to Dunlop Curve. But then again, I actually don't think he is. He may actually catch D'Agostino in an inopportune place. This might not be good placement by the Monaco driver.
Perhaps not. And the time really elapsing now, 25 seconds to go. And Milan, is he going to get held up here? He can't really expect D'Agostino to just jump out the way here. Nicola D'Agostino entitled to a lap too. And when Milan's pulled off, he just got held up too much. Nothing D'Agostino could have done. Djakovic is going to get a lap in, by the way. But he's going to have 8 seconds to go. So pretty much a do-or-die lap for Team Virus. As time in the session elapses now. That's 8. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Cars on laps will finish them, and we'll get the final qualifying results here in the virtual Le Mans series. And Djakovic, I believe, is just... Oh, I think Djakovic may just have gone a bit too wide there. May just have flown at the track limits, actually, on the exit of the first chicane there. Yeah, he got 2 wheels outside of the white line, and the rule is 2 wheels within the white lines at all times, I believe. And he's just done it again there, but out of Tetra Rouge, but I don't know whether there's an exception or not.
Indeed, just having a look, Maciej Milniak's gone half a tenth faster in the first sector. Going even faster this RGPL car. Who is this right in front of him? It's Ivan Rico. It's in the 117 car. That's the BTB Series.ES Racing Scene car. They're currently last place in the team's championship at the moment, but Milniak just catching him through the second chicane of the back straight. We're able to get a lovely slipstream coming out onto the Mulsanne straight, but will he be able to catch him before he comes down to Mulsanne corner? And indeed he does. He starts to pull out, moves towards the inside. We'll be able to pass him for Mulsanne corner. I say that. He's not actually gaining any ground on him. Coming through Mulsanne corner, he'll try not to lose too much time behind Rico. A massive lock-up for the BTB Series car. Ooh, very almost collision there, but 300ths of a second still up on his lap time.
Yep, and you know, this is going to be interesting to see how these times come through here, and we'll see exactly what goes on regarding that. I'm keeping half an eye on Mlynek and Jakovic as those are the top two at the moment, although Sergio Azevedo, you know, can still gain quite a bit of time. Trying to keep an eye on everything that's going on with the cars on track at the moment. Mlynek is just coming out of Indianapolis. Jakovic will be going into Indianapolis soon, and what I've just seen actually, Thomas Beer saying, wow, Nicky got his pole stolen. I'm not going to be happy about that. Indeed, his pole was stolen by the pole, matching Mlynek. So, Mlynek really with the heist of the century here at Le Mans at the moment with this pole position in the closing moments. If he can hold it, what a good result it would be for the start for RGPL.
Indeed, he's still, as I said, he's 300ths of a second up on his own lap time. He has to create a picture-perfect line through the Porsche cars. We've got to see what he can do as Nicky Jakovic comes through Arnage.
Yep, Jakovic through Arnage, and of course, went around a bit wide before on the previous part of the lap, but Mlynek is just really going to come around here, and oh, he runs wide as well. I think really it's so hard to keep it in the track limits for 3 straight minutes. You've got to admire their attempts, you know. It's not easy to do, and Mlynek actually came into the pits. Maybe he knew and he decided to abort the lap.
Got to see what Jakovic could do coming through the cars. The first left-hander that really is kind of a double apex, diving down the hill into the right-hander, trying to control the car under braking and changing of direction, braking ever so slightly again for Virage Corvette, flat out through Maison Blanche, the right and the left, setting up for the final part of the track, the 4 chicanes. What can Jakovic do? He's got 10 seconds to try and improve his lap time. The left and the right, the left and the right again, the second slightly slower than the first, coming out, what can he do?
No, it's not
pole. He goes faster himself, not enough for pole, a 10.5 behind Magic Milnick.
It's not Paul, and he was pushing the track limits to their absolute extents there on that lap, I believe, and well, I don't think there's any more cars doing laps at the moment, so I believe that is qualifying results now officially official.
Indeed it is.
Officially official, and it means that indeed the pole has been stolen by the pole. Matthew Mlynek gets it for Team RGPL, and that really, I didn't see it coming. Mlynek with a stunner of a lap at 3:33.342.
Yes, 3:33.342. A fantastic showing there from the RGPL car.
Yeah, what a great result for the Czech team, and well, they'll be happy about that. I can guarantee you, and I can guarantee you, Nicky Jakovic won't be happy about the fact that he's not on pole, and he'll have wanted that pole position, and he's not going to get it. So it's not going to be good for him. Boy Milano will start third in the 1ACO car. Then it is the 106 Blackhawk car driven by Patrick Weldon and Greg Hall, fifth in the Fanatic Drake. So our championship challengers right up there. Luke Walsh in the 150 will start sixth. Then it's Juno Saibu in the 138. Marco Bazzetti in the 124. Then it will be Daniele Pizzo in the 118 and Nireka Rickard Nelson in the 128, rounds out your top 10 in the prototypes. Then in the GTs, it will be Nuno Pinto in the 151 for Armada Motorsport, then the 162 car, the slide right, then the 175 Caspian, then the 169 Wishwood, then the 177 Gimmick Events GT, then the 181 Blackhawk Aston Martin, then the Mellow Motorsports 180 Viper, then the 170 Corvette for SimRace South Africa Pro Tier. Then the 176 PRL Logitech car, I believe. Very, very blue, that. And then the 10th place Scuderia Genopo in the 171. So there's your top 10 in both classes for the start of this race. 4 minutes and 14 seconds to go. And the pre-race briefing is just going to be given by our race directors now. Driver is going to be told what to do, given the usual don't go out on track malarkey. And really just 4 minutes to prepare themselves now.
Here's a question. I can't see them. Where's the 188 car?
Where is the 188? I'm going to look for them. Maybe they're at the back. Where is the 188? That's the question. The 188. 188, of course, is the. I'm just trying to check out here.
It's the No Limit Motorsports car.
Yeah, where is the No Limit car? I just realised they're not there. Huh, go figure.
That means they're definitely not going to win the championship. Although it was a massive outside chance for the No Limit car, they're obviously now not even got a chance to win the championship.
Well, that is a shame. That is a big shame. You know, it would have been lovely if they could have won it. But, you know, they had an outside chance anyway. But, oh well. It's not going to go their way now, I believe. But, still. Apparently Shane Burke saying that match could have gone quicker. But he said, but the GC held him up. So it could have been even more so. Well, Minec really showing all of his, he's really putting it all on the track here today. He's really showing his skills if he could have gone even quicker still, you know. But, yeah. Going to be interesting to see how this was. And, yeah, going to be interesting. Yeah, but just looking at the whole Djakovic situation with Campbell Wallace there in the Realish car, he was on a lap too, says Mike Bell. So nothing he could have done there. So 2 minutes and 25 seconds before the race begins. And, well, I'm excited. I'm sure the viewers excited. Are you excited, Neil Heatley?
Indeed, what could possibly go wrong?
Famous last words indeed. Well, I'm hoping nothing will go wrong for the teams today, but it's Le Mans. It is in charge here, not us, and the drivers just have to negotiate it as well as they can because it's such, you know, it commands respect, this track, doesn't it?
Indeed, it does. It's such a fearsome track.
So difficult to get right, so difficult to master. Basically impossible because it's so long, but...
This is the voice check. Please make sure you can hear me. This is important for the race start, also for the Code 80. So rev up your engines. Please make sure you can hear me.
And of course, Benjamin just doing the sound check now, which we have at Le Mans. And we have the whole, this is really weird cars in the garage revving thing.
So this is the voice check. Please make sure you can hear me. It's very important for the whole race. If you can't hear me, or if I'm not loud enough for you, please raise the volume of mine on your TeamSpeak.
Of course, Jimmy Otising in the chat hating you, Ben Smith.
Make sure you can hear me. If you have any problems, please let me know during the next seconds on TeamSpeak.
Of course, the guys in the chat can hear Ben Schmidt because it's always got a nice live link to when our race director speaks. You guys can hear him, so you know when the Code 80 is being called. Always great to have Ben Schmidt about when we get to talk to him, of course. And, of course, does a great job as our race director, too. And, well, 45 seconds ago, oh, I'm excited.
Indeed, I think something that might be interesting is that the simulated time of our race today is between 9 AM and 9 PM. So it's starting to get towards the twilight towards the end of this race.
Yep, we'll be going into the night and just really running into the darker stages of the time of day. And it's going to be so interesting to see that, really just getting a darkening race, you know, beginning to just get darker and more challenging.
Have fun, and remember, it's the longest race of the season. We have 12 hours of epic racing here, so keep calm at the start. Good luck, have fun.
And Ben Schmidt just, you know, wishing everyone good luck there. And whew, I'd like to wish all the drivers and teams good luck too, because it's Le Mans, it's the last one. Hopefully it'll be a good one.
Indeed, in 12 hours' time, we will see who the champions are, who will be tomorrow's kings, who will be walking through the gates of glory.
12 just quoting song titles now.
12 hours, 12 long hours await us. 12 fantastic hours await us. Here we are, about to start the final round of the VLMS. Double points, triple the length, and certainly at least quadruple the fun.
Oh, that's the most poetic you've been all season, mate. That is the most poetic you've been all season. I cannot agree more. So, here we go then. 20 seconds to go until the cars get themselves underway. And we get ourselves into a race situation. I can't actually see where the cars are because I've just lost connection to the server, unbelievably. So, Neil Heatley, if you're still on, could you please walk us through the grid as we start to...
I'm also still not on. It's kicked me
Oh,
out as well.
no.
It's all gone terribly, terribly wrong.
This is...
It went terribly wrong within a few seconds. What could I tell you, Josh?
This is why you don't jinx it by saying what could go possibly wrong, Neil Hitley. Yeah, it's your fault. I blame you entirely. Right, I'm going to get back into the server. Oh, apparently the server is dead. Right, well, okay. I wasn't expecting that. But yes, do hold with us, do hold the line, and we'll be back racing once more in a couple of minutes. And, well, I guess that song that I quoted before really just play true now.
There we go. The ultimate race director, Big Boss Jimmy Allison, having some strong words there.
He's just said it how it is, really, to be honest. Apologies for his choice of language there, of course. Although, then again, why am I apologising for Jimmy Allison's choice of language? Jimmy can say what he likes. But...
There we go.
But he did there! You did there!
He did there.
But no, well, no, he got people. He's so clever, Jimmy Allison. We couldn't hear him.
Jimmy is using his server rights to talk to us, but not you. So he's trying to make us crack up. But indeed, apparently, getting some updates from Mike Bell off of the Relish Racing car. Apparently, the Campbell Wallace, the person who qualified that car, almost had a little bit of a trouser accident when he got the connection lost. So. There we go. But of course, this race will be starting slightly later than normal.
Right. I do believe that we're just trying to get things back on running again here at the virtual Le Mans Series 12 Hours of Le Mans. What a way to start the race, Neil Heatley.
A fantastic start, indeed.
Everyone got away nice and cleanly there. No incidents whatsoever. Well, I'm going to try and rejoin the server now. So, yeah. Get myself back in the server and hopefully we'll be getting racing again soon. That's unbelievable, that. It's been so long since we had problems with the server, but it just goes to show how good our servers are these days.
Indeed, it does. It's with a fantastic reliability, usually.
I think it was Imola, wasn't it? And that was 5 months ago or something.
It's Imola.
It was really
Imola
long ago, so it's very, very
February.
rare. Very rare that we have problems with our servers. Apologies for this, ladies and gentlemen, but we will be back racing soon. In the meantime, I think, what should we do in the meantime, Neil Heatley?
Well, because the batch files are going to be ran again once everyone re-enters, we can go through the lineups ever so quickly before the race starts. But indeed, 12 hours. 12 hours. Who is your pick for the race?
Ooh, you're asking a big question of us there, Neil Heatley. Given it's a 12-hour race at Le Mans, so I'm going to go for the Monaco team.
The taco. It might be taco time.
Yep, it might be. It might be. So, right.
But indeed, with the pace that they showed in qualifying, the fact that I think Monaco is not going to go full tilt, I think I'm going to go virus.
Ooh, are you now? I wouldn't blame you. I would not blame you. As well, I do see that the broadcaster is back in the room, which is always a good sign. Great to see that, and well.
But indeed, while we're in the down match, they've got a stat from one of my good friends, Jack Elliker, who runs the F1 stat blog on Twitter. Go and follow him if you want some interesting stats. But every single car racing the Le Mans 24 combined totals 9,937,144 kilometers. There we go, and that's 248 times around the Earth if you so wanted to. But there we go. So an absolutely massive distance covered in this very, very historic race. But indeed, we do have Mr. Anderson back with us. And I think we now have everyone here. We had 39 cars in qualifying. We've got 35 with us. So not everyone has rejoined us yet.
Yep.
Okay, guys, please make sure to rejoin the server. There are always 3 people missing, so please make sure to rejoin the server.
Obviously, everyone getting back on the server now. And as we know, Sim Racing in the chat saying, here we go again. Yep, very much here we go again. Not on our own, but this is the only road that we'll be knowing today is Le Mans. And yeah, it is actually a public road, part of it. So, you know, technically that song applies.
Indeed, all the way from it's from Tertre Rouge all the way round to the beginning of the Porsche curves. It's all public road, isn't it?
Yep, commonly used by automobiles. Is Jimmy Allison just telling us what's going to be going on regarding the start procedure? I don't think you can hear him on the broadcast, but still, what he's basically just said is that we are going to skip through qualifying sessions at the moment to get to the warm-up, and then we're going to restore the qualifying order that was taken from the actual qualifying session. So nobody's going to lose places or time. Everything will be, it's basically, we're just giving it another go. That's what we're doing. In fact, I think somebody else has actually saved the rubber from qualifying as well, so we're going to be able to apply that. Either way, though, it's good to see that everything's under control.
Indeed, we're still missing some people. I'm just trying to work out who we are indeed missing. Sergio Sardina is just rejoining us. There's Valde from one of the Texas Squadron Corsa cars. I think that's the P2 car, if memory serves me correctly. We were just waiting for one more.
Yeah, just one more person, then we can get this 12 hours of lemons underway. Oh, did I say lemons? I said Le Mans, sorry. There was actually a 24 hours of lemons, isn't there? So I believe we're going to be having a nice little 30-second wait until we advance to the session, and we're not going to have. Yep, they're going to go straight through the warm up, and then not long for other cars to get in. I do believe we have most of them now. We have about 37 out of, I think it was 39 or 38. So we're pretty much all here, with the exception of maybe a couple, but they don't have long now.
I definitely think we should use the grid we've got at the moment. It'd be absolutely fantastic to watch them all jumbled up with GT in 2nd, 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th. That might be fun to start, but indeed we are going to use our qualifying results from the session not too long ago.
Well, what we need, right? What we need is random grids every race. That's what we need. That'll solve everything.
Sorts everything. There we go. But yes, we have indeed got another 5 minutes, so we could use this to go through the full rundown, Josh.
Shall we do that then, Neil Heatley? I think we shall. I think we shall. So, our full rundown of the order of the day. And of course, as we saw, it will be Team RDPL on pole position when the order starts. And it's going to be interesting to see how they go from there, because Magic Blind took it at the last minute from Nicky Jakovic in the Team Virus car, and Jakovic won't be happy about that.
Indeed. It was a fantastic job from Milniak there.
Yeah, it was. So those two are going to be there, and then we got the rest of the cars in the field as well. So, you know, going to be very interesting to see how it goes, because yeah, qualifying results at a 12-hour race don't mean as much as they would at a 6-hour or an 8-hour, and especially so at Le Mans.
Indeed, especially so. It's all about that slipstreaming, especially in this first lap when everyone's together, because the formation lap under code 80, which we always have, would just take so long. We're actually going to have the green flag set between Tertre Rouge and the first chicane, so about a third of a qualifying lap we've got.
Yeah.
information lap, I should say, rather.
As the batch file has just placed everyone where they should be. Nice and easily done there. So I can tell you now, obviously, going through the order, will be Mlinek, Djakovic, Milan in the Monaco car, then Bardin in the Blackhawk, Azevedo in the, I believe, Sergio Azevedo was in the Gaming Events GT car, isn't he? So P2, sorry.
The 123, yep.
The 123.
P2 car.
Then it will be Fanatic Drag Racing's Greg Hall. Then Tony Malla for Ghost Motorsport. Luke Ross for Simtech. Jonas Ivio in the same HQ car. Then Marco Mazzetti in P10, I believe, for the Handy Racing team.
Indeed.
And we'll be going racing in 4 minutes, of course. But after that, of course, after Mazzetti is Daniele Pizzo. Then Rico Nilsson. And Ali Farry in the first of the two Atlantic Motorsport P2s. Then Carlo Valdi in 14th. Thomas Hensel starts in P16, I believe, for Eva Racing
Yes.
Basilea.
16th.
That must mean that there's a car missing in 15th
Ollie
place. Joe
McGowan.
Ciampa will be 17th.
Ollie McGowan was missing in the 113 Speedy Mate.
Yeah, Ollie McGowan needs to get his butt here then. In which case, Abel Dillon will be 18th, Jason Holden-Jones 19th, Alessandro Peretti 20th, and Ivan Rico 21st, Antonio Abreu 22nd. Then there's first of the GTs and Nuno Pinto for Romano Motorsports 23rd. Then Jones Manasakis in the Slide Ride 24th. Ahmed Demirkan in the Caspian car 25th. Nicola D'Agostino will be 26th place. Then Pedro Lopez in the Gaming Events GT 27th. Mike Horn in the Blackhawk, Aston Martin 28th. Lee Russell in the Mellow Dodge Viper 29th. Lance Garacino in the SimRace South Africa Protea Corvette in the 30th place. Matthias Grau 31st. Salvo Sardina 32nd. David Serra 33rd. Arwin Taruna 34th. Ivan Gradello 35th. Radek Sirk 36th. Campbell Wallace, or Dr. Campbell Wallace as Neil Heatley likes to call him, 37th. And Karl Botrovsky 38th and last. So, we need a Speedy Mike team.
We need McGowan in the Speedy Mate car to rejoin us to have those 38 cars.
We need one. And apparently issues loading setup for them, but jumping back in now. And, well, interestingly enough, it's going to be, well, they are going to be jumping back in. They've got 2 minutes and 20 to do so. And they are getting back in now, which is fantastic. And, of course, in the comments, who do you think's going to win? We've got 126 people watching, which is nice, but any potential prediction winners from you? Potential prediction winners. You know, I got the P's out in my sentence there. Managed to pronounce that. So tell us who you think's gonna win. Just do it. We want predictions. Who's yours, Neil?
As I said before, I think it's going to be Virus for the P2 class. But that GT class is extremely difficult to look past Ramada yet again.
It is, as I said before, I'm going to stick with Warnaco for the P2 class, but GTs again. If something happens to Armada, I guess that there'll be teams there, but again, so hard to look past them. So hard to look past them in GT.
It's in second place in GT was Demirkan. Sorry, it's Manasukis. In the slide right car in third place was Demirkan. So I think if anything happens to Armada today, Caspian will be there to pick up the pieces.
Oh, I've just seen we have an Ollie McGowan.
There we go, so we have all 38 drivers back with us now. As Arwin Taruna in the Atlantic GT cars just left the game again.
Oh, Arwen. There's always one, isn't there? There's always one. Well, he'll have about a minute to get back. Don't know what the Blazers he's thinking leaving him this little time to go, but if he doesn't get back, then that Atlantic team are going to be over before they've even begun.
Indeed, that 154 car is a little bit of a torrid time this season, actually. They are, if I can actually count correctly, they're 14th in the championship out of 18 cars. It's not been very good for that Atlantic GT car this season.
Yeah, it's not really been the best of seasons in the world, but still, we are going to get it underway in about 10 seconds' time, if Almenturina can get back, that is. This is a bit of a blunder, unfortunately, for them to have left this close. I don't know whether he's going to get back in time.
That's
Time has
it.
elapsed. That is for certain. But what's going to happen now? We're going to go to race, I believe. Unless, yeah.
Yeah, we are. We're just going to go straight to the race.
Yep, well, bit of a catastrophic error from the Atlantic team then. Well, we are not waiting any longer. We are going for it. Oh no. I Well, that goes to show how awake I am. Oh, apparently we're having problems because there's a game crash on the Advanced to Race. Because I thought she was just gone.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's gone
okay.
again.
Oh, dearie me. Well, this isn't good. I bet you're starting to be quite regretting saying what could possibly go wrong now, Neil Heatley.
Indeed, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'd say a little bit. I blame you entirely for this.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. I do have word from Jimmy Harrison. This broadcast is going to go down for a couple of minutes, and we will be back hopefully with the 12 Hours of Le Mans very soon. But please sit tight for official word from SRC management regarding what's going to be going on. But do stick with us.